She was waking up at 2 o'clock and she was awake for the day. I'm talking like I would be
Oh,
awake from 2 a.m. until the next night, when by the time that she fell asleep at 8 o'clock, it was like that for about 3 months. We started this full force gut brain axis support, and 2 nights later, she was sleeping through the night. Blew my mind. Blew my mind.
we are back with another episode of Mothering Holistically, a podcast amplifying everyday moms' voices to share stories, practical tips, and inspiration. I'm your host, Kaylee Berlini, a mama finding balance in motherhood because balance is key when mothering holistically. So no matter where you are listening to us from or watching, please subscribe or follow, and of course, give us feedback as we continue to try to make this podcast motivational and helpful for you all. If I may just be a little bit more emphasized on that, just because it really does help us out. We want to make sure that we are bringing up topics that y'all are really interested in hearing. So definitely comment so that we can steer the show in the best way possible. So I'm excited because today we are chatting with Katy, a mom, wife, autism advocate, life and performance coach, holistic wellness educator, and social media manager who supports families navigating autism, sleep struggles, nervous system regulation, and mental wellness for both kids and parents who love them. Through daily encouragement, education, and lived experience shared across her platforms, Katy reminds families that we are not broken, behind, or alone. So please give a very warm welcome to Katy. So hello. Thank you so much for
Hey,
joining
thank you so
us.
much for having me on. I'm so
Of
excited to be
course.
here.
Yeah. I hope you
Um,
can't hear my baby. I don't know if you can hear it, but Dad's putting them to sleep, and we need to still soundproof the room. So I hope they can't hear me. I hope I didn't
um,
trigger her.
no, I can't hear her, but she might
Okay,
be able
good.
to hear you because babies can hear everything, right?
They can sense us.
Mine is sleeping like a log with
Oh,
her
good.
cast. I don't know if you saw, um, we
Oh.
had an accident, but anyway, I'm Katy. I am the founder of All the Things Collective, and I have All the Things Mama, where I talk to moms more about their mental wellness, and then I have All the Things Little Bit, where I talk about my daughter's journey. And she does have autism. She was diagnosed right before she turned 3.
Mm.
And she is just, she's a ham. She's everything to me and her dad. And then I also have an 18-year-old and a 21-year-old that are
Okay.
not in the house anymore. One of them's in his apartment in the basement, but so we're just on this journey together, and working through it. And like I say, I call myself All the Things Mama. That comes from my husband and I say we love each other more than all the things. And he bought me
Hmm.
a sign one year for Christmas, and I was like, that's my brand. So that's where that came from.
And it definitely fits because you do a lot of things. I mean, just from reading your bio. So, what motivated you to get going and put yourself out there on social media and kind of start this entrepreneurial journey?
So it actually all started with a blog. So I decided I wanted to start a blog. It was about 3 months after Little Bit's diagnosis.
Hmm.
And she, like, just that journey, and that the loneliness that came with the diagnosis,
Mm-hmm.
I was like, okay, I want to be able to talk about this. Like, even if I wasn't talking to someone, I wanted to be able to just talk, right? And I've
Yeah.
always loved to write. So I was like,
Hmm.
okay, so I'm going to start a blog. Sounds like a good place to start. And then I was like,
Yeah.
okay, so how am I going to get this out? Right? So then I was like, Pinterest. I wasn't on social media at all at that point. This was in the fall of 2023.
Okay.
And I had no social media presence, but I'd had a Pinterest. Um, so I decided I was gonna look into, how do I share this blog on Pinterest? And that wasn't really going anywhere. I was like, I need something more. And so I
Yeah.
was like, well, let me start a TikTok and an Instagram and all this. And at the time, the blog was called All the Things Mama. So I started the one page that I started with was All the Things Mama.
Mm-hmm.
And about 3 months in, we were struggling really, really bad with sleep. And I just started,
Mm.
like, I was just making funny posts, I guess, like, about, like, "Is your kid awake at 3 a.m.?" Because, like, I was exhausted and had nothing else to post about, right? And I
Mhm.
actually had a mom reach out to me, and then from there, like, my social media took off because I started sharing our journey through figuring out sleep.
Yeah, and sleep, it's such a
Mhm.
huge, important topic
Mhm.
as you've seen. So walk us down that journey where, what did you do? So you weren't getting any sleep. What made you decide, okay, this is more than just a regression or anything like that. This needs more attention.
Well, probably time made the biggest difference, I'd say, because it was like, okay, like, she's still not sleeping, she's not sleeping, and she was the same way. So, from the time she was 5 weeks old, we were so blessed. She actually slept all night through the night from 5 weeks old until, um, 2 and a half. And then when
Wow.
she was 2 and a half, I was like, "Okay, this is a sleep regression." You know, you Google all the things and you're like, "Yeah, it's just a regression, it's fine, no big deal." But then it continued and I was like, "Okay, what can I do to help?" So, I
Mm.
started with, tart cherry juice. I don't know if you've heard of that one, but that's what
Mm.
we started with. We started with tart cherry juice, and then we, moved into melatonin, which now
Mm.
I know there's a lot more studies that melatonin is not necessarily good, but at the time, honestly, I wasn't educated enough, and I was just like,
Mhm.
"I
Trying
need
to
to
do what
sleep,"
you thought was best. Yeah.
you know? Yeah. So, I was like, "This works." So then we started it for about 3 weeks. She would go to sleep and she wouldn't wake up until about 6, and I was like, "Hey, I can deal with 6, no big deal." And then it just went right back, and I was like, "Well, this is more
Mm.
than just a sleep regression. This is more than
Uh-huh.
just, um, she can't go to sleep by herself, she can't stay asleep by herself. So something bigger is going on." So I really started digging in. I started
Mhm.
using, making sure that I was doing routines. I talked to her. Of course, she was diagnosed with autism, so she has speech and occupational therapy. So I'm like talking to her occupational therapist. What can I do? Do you have any suggestions? She suggested proprioceptive activity,
Mm.
right before bed, and it really helped. I did not want to go to the doctor and put her on medication. Like, that was the last thing I wanted to do. I knew a lot of parents that did that, like, got their kids
Mhm.
on clonidine and things like that, and to each their own. Like, I'm not downing that by any means, but I wanted
Yeah.
that to be the absolute last resort. And so we, I was trying to think what happened after that. Sorry.
No, you're okay.
um, so we started doing the proprioceptive activity at night.
Mhm.
That helped. Um, and then, we made sure we had a strict routine. She had the same routine from the time that she was 1 until then, and she had always had the same routine. She
Okay.
told daddy night night, we went to bed. After she transitioned from the crib to a toddler bed, I've had to lay with her ever since. Uh,
Mm.
that was a big transition, and at this point, I just accept it, and I just lay with her until she falls asleep, and it's fine. It's much easier
Okay.
than the battle, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I feel like that when she's older and she understands more, that she'll lay back down by herself, but right now, I'm just like, as long as she's happy and comfortable and things, then I'm good. Um, so
Yeah.
we continued with the same routines, but she was waking up. She'd wake up at 2 o'clock, and she was not waking up at 2 o'clock and going back to sleep. She was waking up at 2 o'clock and she was awake for the day. I'm talking, like, I would be
Oh.
awake from 2 a.m. until the next night, when by the time that she fell asleep at 8 o'clock, I did my nighttime routine, all the things, and then went to bed. It was a 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, right? And then she's awake
Right.
at 2. And then we're awake again for the whole day. And it was like that for about 3 months. Unless it was a night that she just crashed out,
Oh.
she was waking up every night, and I was exhausted. So that's when the funny social media posts happened.
Wow.
And,
Okay.
so I had a friend reach out and she's like, "Hey, I don't know if this will help or not, but I've got this solution that is all natural that I think you should try." She's like, "There's a 90-day money back guarantee. Try it, see if it helps. And if it doesn't, send it back." And I'm like,
Yeah. Sure.
okay, you know? So I've tried everything else. So I told my husband and he's like, we both thought it was a gimmick. We're both like, it's just another thing. We've tried everything else. I'm sure it'll be the same way. Well, lo and behold, 2 nights later, she slept through the night. So we started the whole pack. We took her off of all the other things she was using, the melatonin, everything else,
Mhm.
heart cherry juice, all the things. And we started this full force gut brain axis support. And 2 nights later, she was sleeping through the night. Blew my mind. Blew my mind.
Wow, that's wow.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
didn't realize, yeah, because for me, it's just like they just wake up, wanting that comfort and they go right back to sleep. They're definitely not awake that long, and then we still nap. So she was not only waking up in the middle of the night, but she wasn't napping?
No. There would be
Wow.
random times that she'd, you know, doze off in the car or, something like that, but she wouldn't lay down for a nap. Um,
Wow.
since I've been on this journey, I've learned that neurodivergent kids have higher cortisol levels. So just like
Mm.
with us, us not sleeping, it affects our hormones. It's the same way with kids. And so many people don't put those two together. Like
Yeah.
everyone thinks about hormones when it comes to adults, but
Mm.
the hormones are, your kids have hormones too. It's not all about sexual hormones, right? That's what
Yeah.
everyone's mind goes to, but there's so much more to it. So
Yeah.
much more to it.
That's where the pituitary gland comes in, and your
Yeah,
adrenals and
yeah,
everything like that.
yeah,
Oh, wow. Okay. So I definitely can see. So you were doing the tart cherry juice, all of that for 3 months. Someone messaged you, and then 2 days later, after you started it, she was sleeping through the night.
mhm,
So what makes you feel like, can you please go into depth a little bit more about that? Why do you feel like it
yeah.
worked so quickly?
Yeah, absolutely. So, the supplements that we started using are strictly for the gut brain axis. So it's
Okay.
probiotics, prebiotics that are for the gut brain axis and um, help lower those cortisol levels, and then actually helps raise happy hormones. So your dopamine, your
Mm.
serotonin. And a lot of people don't know, but melatonin is actually a hormone. So
Mm.
because melatonin is a hormone, it's produced in your body. And instead of giving synthetic, this actually
Right.
helps your body produce the melatonin naturally. So the way the body kind of works, and this is
Mhm.
not something that I knew in the beginning. It's something that I've learned as I've went. Um,
Yeah.
but the as your dopamine and your serotonin raise during the day, then
Mhm.
that turns into melatonin at night. So her body wasn't producing melatonin enough, so that's why she was waking up. It was producing excess cortisol and not enough dopamine and melatonin. So once
I
we got those
see. That's
leveled out,
interesting.
she not only did she start sleeping through the night, but she wasn't having meltdowns. She was transitioning better because she wasn't so stressed. Cortisol is the stress hormone. So she wasn't stressed and anxious about all these transitions and different things going on. So the she's also nonverbal or non-speaking, we like to say, because she can talk. But she as an autism parent, we know that communication isn't the easiest thing, right?
Mm. For
And so
anybody, honestly.
yeah. So
Mhm.
up until that point, she really hadn't talked at all. When she was about 18 months, she said, Mama, Dada, just a few things, but then it phased out and she never said it again. Um, so we started this, and this was at 3.5. And I think, yeah, right at 3.5. And 10 days after we started these supplements and the gut brain axis support, she actually talked to us. She said, I dropped her off at school and she said, "Love you, bye." And I was like, "Mm, was that my kid?" Like I cried. It was awful. But so from then now she might not be able to have a conversation with someone who can't understand her,
Mm.
like people, if we're with friends or something, they'll look at me to see if I can, tell them what she said. But she and I can have a full blown conversation because I know her
You speak
language.
her language, yeah.
Yeah, speak her language. Yeah.
Wow, that's huge. I saw this video one time, and there was this dad sharing, um, that he was the father to an autistic son, and he was non-speaking, like you're saying, and his son finally said something to him, and he just shared, how it impacted him, and you just take for granted these things that we think are small, quote unquote.
Mhm.
And it's actually a pretty big deal. Being able to communicate with your child or anyone that you love is a really big deal. So I can only imagine, 10 days later and she's talking to you, saying I love you. Oh, I can only imagine.
Yeah.
So that's huge. Yeah.
Yeah, and it definitely flourished from there. Like, so many things have changed since that time. And obviously, some things come with age, right? But
Mhm.
there's also so much that I know that she wouldn't have developed if it wouldn't have been for us getting her that extra support. And after she had been using it for about 2 weeks and I thought, "Okay, this is fantastic." It was the other parents and the teachers and other people in her life that started seeing it and seeing the difference and like, why is she not having a
Wow.
meltdown when you drop her off and things like that. And once that happened, I was like, okay, this is life changing. This is something that we
Yeah.
really need to look into. And that's when I decided I have to share this. Like, I
Mhm.
have to. My husband and I both decided that we were going to use the products because it had impacted her so much.
Mhm.
And I started sharing immediately because I said there's got to be other parents out here that aren't getting sleep. I knew that there were because they were all commenting on my funny videos. So I knew that there were other parents that weren't getting sleep, and I'm like, if I can help them, then and that's where all the things little bit came from. And I decided to start
Mm.
sharing her journey, and it honestly, on a daily basis, breaks my heart the stories that I hear and the families that are going through this. And
Mhm.
sometimes what breaks my heart more than anything is the countries that I can't even get them access to the supplements and they
Yeah.
find me on social media looking for it, and that breaks my heart as a mom. Like, I just wanna be like, "Okay, I'll just order it and ship it to my house, and then I'll ship it to Africa. It's fine." You know?
Yeah.
Like, it's not a big deal. Breaks my heart every day.
Yeah, because 'cause you're just so, desperate and really wanting a solution, and when you feel like something is gonna work for your child, they're your heart. It's literally your heart outside of your body, and you just want
Mhm.
them to be okay, so I can completely understand being like, "How can I, help
Yeah.
everyone that's in need?"
Yeah.
And, so of course it was sleep, but what were some, other earlier signs or challenges that led to your daughter's diagnosis?
So the first big thing was speech because she was 18 months,
Okay.
she wasn't talking. So we actually were in the doctor's office, and you know that you have to the evaluations that you have to do, right? And they're like, are they
Mhm.
doing this? Are they doing this? Are they doing this? And I was like checking these boxes and I'm like, no, she's not. And so my two older ones, I know I said earlier, I have two boys. They're my stepsons, but they're mine.
Mm.
And so this was my first child that I had at this age. And so as much as like with my nieces and nephews, like I knew that she should be talking. I was like, oh, she's just taking her time. And I didn't really think anything about it. And I started checking these boxes saying, no, she wasn't doing any of these things on this list that he has. And I'm like,
Mm.
something's not right, you know? And
Mhm.
so he says, oh, it's just a delay. I don't think you need to do anything right now. And I was like, no, I want to start speech therapy now. If this is something she needs, I want to do it right now.
Mm.
And they pushed for me to wait. And I was like, I'm not waiting. So I got on the list. I just was like, nope. So I got on the list. She started speech about a month later. And of course, with the speech therapist, I talked with her a lot about
Mhm.
the different signs and different things that she saw. And then it got into more of a Google game, right? Like I just started
Mm.
like trying to figure out like, well, why is she not doing this yet? Why is she not doing this? And I knew before the diagnosis, like I knew. And my husband my husband was kind of in denial, like, he didn't wanna say that she did have autism, um, but I just, in my gut, knew that that's what it was gonna be, or that she was gonna have some kinda neurodivergency. So, speech was the first thing, and then, um, trying to think of some of the early signs that we had. I know that flapping, stimming. So, stimming is really big, for autism because they just need a way to regulate their system, right? So my
Mm.
daughter's flaps, that's her way of, which is not good with a cast. um, um,
She's hitting herself.
yeah. So, so anyway, she flaps. She's been doing that honestly since before I ever was looking for signs. She walks on her tiptoes. Um, she
That's a sign?
stims. It is. Um,
Mm.
it is. It's not, I mean, it goes with others, right? Like, I would never be like, "Oh, your kid walks on her tiptoes. They're definitely autistic," right? But
Right.
all the signs together, like, you'll see it, right?
Okay.
So, she walks on her tips. She doesn't as much anymore, but when she was little, she did. Um, she flaps. She, would stem verbally. So she didn't have words. Like I said, she wasn't talking at that point, but she would just blabber like Charlie Brown, right? Like wah 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 wah, like all the time. Um, we couldn't get her to use her utensils, and she kind of got to the point that she should at least be able to scoop, and she wasn't doing any of that.
Mm.
Textures were really hard for her. Environments, lights, sounds, all that was really hard, and I didn't really know what I was looking for. Um,
Mm.
but then as I started seeing the signs and looking like into what was going on, I was like, "Yes, she does that. Yeah, she does that. Yeah, she does that."
Okay.
And so she was in speech for almost a year, and then I asked for her to get OT as well, occupational
Okay.
therapy. And so once she started getting occupational therapy, we also requested that she get an evaluation for autism, and the doctor
Mm.
didn't want to. So she, funny story, she was
That's
actually
interesting.
seeing the same pediatrician that I saw when I was a kid,
Oh.
which was kind of out of comfort for me. But then, like, when I got to this point in that journey, I was like, maybe he's a little old school. He's actually retired now, but love him to death. But um, they didn't say that they wouldn't, but they were like, I don't think that she needs it yet. And I think that just came from uh, he was older, different times and
Yeah.
different education and things like that. So I actually went around him to Vanderbilt in Nashville,
Hmm.
Tennessee, and I went to
Okay.
them, and this was in um 23. Yeah. So it was in 2023, the spring of 2023. So we were still doing a lot of the COVID things, right? Like, they weren't having
Mm.
people in the office and stuff. So I was kind of discouraged because when we finally got in, they scheduled our appointment virtually. And I was
Oh,
thinking, how
how's
are
that
they
gonna
going to
work?
evaluate? Yeah, how are they going to evaluate my daughter virtually? So it ended up being a blessing, though. So we actually set up my iPad on like the coffee table in the living room,
Mm-hmm.
and just like set it up to where they could see like the whole living room, see us. And she was in her environment. So she did all the things that they were going to be evaluating. Whereas if she was in an
Oh,
office, they wouldn't have. So now when I talk to people, I'm like, if they give you that option, do it. Because, like, I'm blessed because thinking about taking her into an office, I was like, oh my gosh,
she's
she's
gonna
just going to
be,
be
recluse.
crazy.
Yeah.
And yeah. So
Mm.
I was like, it'll be one of two things. She'll sit on my lap and not want to talk to anybody, or she's going to be running around like a chicken with her head cut off. So, so I was like, this actually worked out really well. But when they said, I mean, we hadn't even got off, and she said, I have to go over all of our notes, but in my professional opinion, she's a level 3 autism. And I was like, ugh, it was a gut punch. I felt like that. I guess one way to put it is you feel like your dreams kind of just go away, and you have to find
Mm.
new dreams, right? Because, you picture taking your daughter to, the nail salon, right? Taking your little 5-year-old and getting their little
Yeah.
nails done. No way that I could do that with her right now. It's just different,
Mm,
just little things like that that we don't know that she's ever going to move out of our house. We don't know, especially at that point. We were
I
like, is
see.
she ever going to get to a point? How severe is this going to be? We have my husband's cousin's son is autistic, and he is actually profoundly autistic. And um, we don't know where Finley is on that level yet. She's not at an age. I mean, obviously, she's still at an age that we have to take care of her, right? So they
Right.
don't really get that full evaluation until they're older, more like 12,
Okay.
13. But he is profoundly autistic. And so when we first got that diagnosis, like everything we're thinking is, is she
Coming
going to be
from that
bullied in school?
experience.
Yeah. Is she going to be bullied
Mm.
in school because he had to be pulled out of school? Is she ever going to be able to drive? Is she ever going to be able to, she going to get to go to prom? Are we going to get to have that experience? I mean, it's just like
Mm.
all these things that you just start like thinking about. And some of them are probably extreme. And you're like now looking back on me 2 years ago, like I probably didn't need to be that extreme about my thoughts, but that's what you do, because
Yeah.
I know you have girls, right?
Mm.
Yeah. So when you get pregnant and you find out that you're having a
Yeah. Yeah.
daughter,
You imagine all
you have
these things.
all these things that you start thinking about.
Hmm.
I feel like I'm just
Yeah.
talking
And
away.
no, you're fine. And I'm definitely relating to you. And personally, I just can only imagine some of the things that you're bringing up because it's like my daughters, they tend to eat with their hands and they do scoop with with the spoon, but I feel like it's if it's not coming to them fast enough, then they'll like ditch the spoon, use their hands.
Well,
But I don't
my
know.
daughter still does that. She's
Yeah,
5.
yeah. So I don't know. Like, so you start to wonder, like, should I be paying more attention or being curious about like their speech and stuff? But I mean, I guess that's a topic for another day. I mean, I wouldn't say that they're like in a lot of different. Anyway, I'm not gonna go down the road with them,
Yeah,
but
we can definitely talk about it.
but some of the things you're mentioning, it is
Right.
definitely something you want to keep an eye on and be proactive about. So I'm just
Mhm.
thankful that you're sharing because, like you said, sometimes we're just like, oh, they're just being young, or they're advanced in this area, but a little bit behind in this area. You don't really know when to, like I said, be proactive, when to seek additional help. And it is good that you was, like, "No, I'm gonna get her in the speech therapy ASAP."
And part of it for me was, so going into your brand being holistic, something that I wish that I knew more about before she was 1, because there's a lot of jabs at 1, right? And when she was 11 months old, she actually got COVID. Her and my husband both. I did
Mm,
too. I didn't know it. I didn't have all the symptoms that they did, but she got it from me, obviously, and then he
mhm.
got it. She was not horrible. I mean, she had to have breathing treatments and she was sick, but it wasn't anything horrible. But my husband was in the hospital for a week. It was a crazy time of our life.
Wow.
Well, right before that, she was almost walking. She was also saying a couple like babbles because I mean, she was 11 months old, right? So she wasn't like talking or anything, but she was babbling. So that was the she got babied a lot, obviously, when she was sick, and then she stopped walking, which I don't think had anything to do with COVID or anything like that. I'm not trying to say that, but she was babied, and so then that happened. So then her birthday happened in August, and
Mhm.
she got all the one-year-old jabs, and that's when everything shifted. It took another like 2 months for her to start walking. She stopped talking completely. Um,
Whoa.
and so obviously with all the different things coming out scientifically now, I wish that I would have known a little bit more about a holistic lifestyle before she came to that point. Now, I personally, I know that there's a lot of different opinions out there. I personally don't think that autism comes from a vaccine. I don't think it comes from that, but I do think it can trigger something in their body. She was doing
Yeah.
certain things before that, like when I look back, like before she got all the vaccines, that probably were a touch of autism, even at that point. But I still think that they trigger something in their system that,
And
I
that
mean, it,
there's studies on that too. And I definitely follow different pediatricians and different
mhm.
schools of thought, because you definitely want to see all ranges. You just want to be well versed, like you said,
Yeah.
educated. And I know people who have been damaged by vaccines. And personally, like you said, the amount, in my opinion, is excessive for a child
Mhm.
who's already
Mhm.
vulnerable, because I had to take a step back. It was, I think, their 3-month visit, and they laid out like there was like 5 shots, but there was like combo. And I was like, no. And the doctor was like, can you explain why? And I was just like, I just feel like this is excessive. Like, this is a lot. And they're really
Yeah.
small. And you're telling me that my family can't come over because they're premature. My family can't come over. I have to be cognizant of who they go around, but I can be okay with 5 jabs, like you say,
Mhm.
in one session.
Mhm.
It's not really adding up, in my opinion.
Mhm.
And so I just feel, I don't want to say like I'm either anti or not. I just feel that children should be a little bit older. They should have a
Mhm.
little bit more of an equipped ecosystem, a little bit more equipped
Absolutely.
immune system to handle it. And like you said, just a large amount at one time. I mean, even like when I was pregnant, I decided to get them. Like, I hadn't been vaccinated in years. I mean, I got the COVID vaccine, but from before that, I mean, it was just in years. And I was like, well, maybe if I act as like a barrier.
Yeah.
And then when they came out, it became, like you said, just more education, more knowledge around it. As I was pregnant, we were looking at more and more things. And, we just decided to hold off and get like an actual schedule from our pediatrician that we fortify their immune system, and then they get one, and then fortify or whatever. So, like you said, it's just so much more education, understanding, trying to figure out what's the best way forward, not being in denial. Was there signs beforehand? Did this get triggered? Because I had a family member who they found out just some people have a certain gene, and when they get a certain vaccine, it can trigger that. And it's such a
Mhm.
slim percentage.
Yeah.
Um, so it's just so much behind that.
Yeah. And
Mm.
like, and what's crazy is that, your girls are 2, almost 2, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah, and so my daughter's 5, and the difference in just what's readily available to you when they were born versus when my daughter was born 3 years before that is crazy, because, I mean, there were the people that were
Yeah.
everybody was making fun of them, right? Because it's like,
Mhm.
why would they not?
Mhm.
But when I was pregnant, I mean, whatever. I was pregnant during COVID, like, straight up
Mm.
during COVID. When everybody started getting them, I was like, "No." Because there was no
Mm.
education, and definitely no education on
Mhm.
someone that's pregnant, right? So, that it was a crazy time, but that's when everyone started talking about it, right? When the
Yeah.
COVID vaccine came out, that's really when the whole conversation
Mhm.
got brought up.
It's just it's one of those things, like you said, it's now coming around. And again, like I mentioned, I follow different pediatricians that they have a different school of thought. Vaccines aren't going to harm your children. People saying it's causing autism, but back in the day, no one spoke about autism. No one wanted, people were embarrassed, quote unquote, and they didn't want to
Mhm.
say anything about their children. Now people are more forward, they're more honest about it. So of course the statistics are going to skew right around. So it's like,
Mhm.
it's so hard to,
Yeah.
track that.
Yeah. Well, and I think that there just wasn't education around autism,
Mhm.
years ago too. And I mean,
Mhm.
even going back to, like, I don't know your age, but I know my age, and I know when I was a kid and I look back at people that I was in class with and
Mm.
different things, they were never said that they had autism, but that's because there was no education around it. I
Mhm.
have a cousin who is 19, I think, and I would almost guarantee you that if she went to a doctor in today's educated world, that she would have been diagnosed with autism. But they diagnosed her
Mhm.
with ADHD and gave her Adderall and said, "That's that." Well, she did not thrive. I mean, she never did. Looking back on her life, like when she was little, like I see so many different things that my little girl does, and I'm like, Maddie did that when she was little, and it just
Mm.
makes me think. But anyway, I mean, I'm not opposed to modern medicine, right? Like,
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
mean, if we need an antibiotic, we need one, but I wanna clean my
Mhm.
system out after I take it. It's
Yeah.
the like, I'm at that point in my life, and I just wish that I would have known more or learned more, tried to learn more, before, but it just wasn't something that was talked about.
Yeah. I mean, they say Albert Einstein had autism and you have to be a little bit autistic to be a math genius. No.
Hey, she's doing, like, multiplication on her iPad, and I'm like, "What?"
There you go.
So, she might be a genius, who knows?
Side note, I don't know if you've seen the movie The Accountant with Ben Affleck.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of that. Just like
yeah, yeah,
I was talking to my
yeah,
husband and I was like, yeah, I mean, it's Albert. It's so many. I've seen different things that people put out, and it's a lot of well-known thought leaders, geniuses, things that are were on the spectrum as well. So I always think about that. I'm
yeah,
like, and then I had a friend who she still like works with autistic children, adults, and things on full spectrum. And she basically educated me way back about, it's really just working with your child. And of course, there will be some levels of severity that you can't necessarily change, but you can work with them and help them be more advanced than what people would deem. And that helped me better
absolutely.
understand a little bit.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely,
anywho.
and I think that well, and I mean, that goes to people in the '70s, '80s. I mean, they would just put children with autism into homes, and
Mm,
it breaks my heart to think about, but that's because there was, again, no education around it, and,
yeah.
but that's where, in the beginning, when I first got the diagnosis, yeah, I had all those thoughts like I was telling you before
Yeah.
of, "She's not gonna get to do this, she's not gonna get to do this," and then I changed that thought
Mhm.
process, and I'm like, "What can I do to help her be able to thrive as much as possible to do this?" Right?
Yeah. Mhm.
Her teacher, she's in a special education pre-K program right now. She's actually been in it for 3 years. The way her birthday fell, she got to do it for a 3rd year because she actually turned 5 the day of the cutoff. So I was like, "Yeah,
Oh,
let her stay in pre-K one more year, it's fine."
yeah.
Um, but she can go to gen ed, like, all her teachers, are fine with her going to gen ed. I don't know if I'm fine with it. We're actually looking into homeschooling, but that's a whole
Okay.
'nother story. But, it's just the reason that I don't want her to go into gen ed is because I don't want her to be the kid in the back of the classroom. So, like, I
Mhm.
know her ability. I know she's smart. I know that she can learn the same things as a general education child can, but is she gonna get what she needs, you know? And I mean, I think
Yeah.
every parent probably has the fear of their kid being in the back of the classroom. I mean, I get it, but she's not gonna be able to come home and tell me that that's what happened,
Yeah.
and that's where my mind it goes, is she can't tell me what's going on.
Yeah, I can when you first said being in the back of the classroom and then you transitioned it into special ed, maybe she's outperforming and she's not reaching her highest potential. I can completely understand that like teeter totter of wondering. I mean, I definitely don't have like, advice to say, but it's definitely a hard one.
Yeah. So we actually got super, super lucky in the nanny field.
Mm,
So our nanny is a ABA therapist, and she's also getting ready to
okay.
graduate with her special education degree. So
Oh,
we have
nice.
actually
Okay.
we've actually nailed her down to be her homeschool teacher. So that makes my heart so happy because are
Yeah.
they're so good together. Like she loves Little Bit so much. So it's really great.
Oh.
And I think she'll get more of an experience. And of course, we'll still get in co-ops to where she'll be around other kids and things like that.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
but as long as all the stars align, that's the plan.
And I mean, I don't know if this is specific to Tennessee, but do you like finding good help, especially being confident and secure with someone coming into your home, being around your kids? What was that process? Because I'm definitely curious when I see different moms with au pairs and nannies and babysitters. I am like, I get so much anxiety around
Hmm. Yeah.
leaving my children, and I'm just curious of what was the process of finding the nanny that was right for you?
So I've literally been on care probably like 3 times and like tried to talk to people. And I have, again, like you said, so much anxiety around it. So
Mhm.
her first babysitter, she was actually a sign language specialist at the school that
Oh.
she was at. And when she started working with her, she was actually pregnant. So then once she had her daughter,
Mm.
she was still watching a little bit here and there, but then they decided to move to Kentucky. So we
Oh.
lost her. So I was actually devastated. So I went back to her teacher at school and I'm like, hey, do you know anybody else? Is there anybody else at school? And so
Mm.
Maggie actually works in Little Bit's classroom as an assistant right now. And I was like, "Do you like this girl? Like, is she
Wow.
good?" And now she's like a part of our family. So,
Oh,
yeah.
okay, and that's a really good way to go about doing it, talking to the
Mhm.
school, that type of thing. I didn't even think
'Cause then
about,
that person has had a
that
background
being an
check
option.
too, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. A real one,
Yeah, yeah.
hopefully. Okay, that's a really good way of going about it, so I like that.
Yeah.
And I am curious, so what does a typical day in, the house look like with the nanny and everything? Like what does it look like a normal day?
So, our nanny is not full-time, during the school year right now because she does have that
Okay.
school job. So, it'll all kinda change next year during school. And during the
Mhm.
summer, she has her during the day. But a
Okay.
typical day right now in our life is pretty hectic. So she only goes to school 3 days a week. So, I mean,
Okay.
it's get up, fix all of our supplements, mine, hers, dad's. We all have a drink that we drink in the morning, the ones I was talking about earlier for the gut brain axis. Fix all
Okay.
that, fix lunch. And then we have therapy on Monday mornings. Tuesday mornings is mine and her chill day at home. And then Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, she goes to school. And then
Oh,
weekends, we
okay.
usually either don't do anything or like every family have a million things to do.
Yeah.
I feel like that
Yeah, so
list is
pretty
never
pretty
ending.
normal. Is she in school all day or is it like a half day type thing?
Half day, 8:30 to 1:30.
Oh, okay, that's not bad. That's not bad.
Yeah. Yeah, and she could
Nice. And
definitely do a longer day at this point, but again, I wanted to keep her in that program for 1 more year.
oh, okay, I see.
Yeah.
And then in what ways has your daughter's journey shaped your own identity and purpose?
Oh, very much, very, very much. I feel like that honestly, me now compared to the me that I was talking about when she first got the diagnosis is completely different. I feel like I
Mm,
have a self-worth now. I feel like in
mm,
motherhood, we get kind of wrapped up in being a mom, right? And
yeah.
we don't even think
Mhm.
about like who we are and what we do. And so that's why I started sharing that part of my journey too on my other page because
I see.
I I felt like I didn't realize at the time that I felt this way, okay? But
Mhm.
I got to the point that, like, I was just doing everything for my husband, for my daughter. It was like it was just an ongoing thing, right? And then
Yeah.
once I learned how to help her and different ways to help her and I started sharing with other people, I'm like, "Okay, I feel like I have a purpose. I feel like that there's purpose in my life." And I remember before way before any of the blog, any of those things happened, I was coming to my husband every other week like, "Hey, would you invest in buying me a Cricut so I can, like, start making stuff and selling it on Etsy?" And, like, I'm, like, just, like, throwing all these, like, different ideas at the wall because I wanted something to do. And it wasn't necessarily
Mhm.
about bringing money into our family, even though, yeah, that's a blessing, right? But it was more about
Mhm.
just something that I could provide for my family and for other
Yeah.
people.
I'm definitely there with you and understanding that, and of course, I definitely know that a lot of other moms are relating to you in that way, us, because it is hard to devote everything to your children, to your husband, the household, and
It's
there's no
not
better
even
word
it's
than
not even just contributing,
purposeful.
purposeful, yeah, like the
Yeah.
purpose. As a neurodivergent parent, it is something that we have that I think about all the time. Like, she may be with me forever. Like, I may never be an empty nester, which is fine with me. Like, we are completely acceptive of that. I'm always gonna take care of her. But with
Mhm.
that, I have to remember that while I am always going to do everything for her that I can possibly do, going back to our nanny, when we first hired her, hired her as a babysitter, Thursday night, Saturday
Mhm.
night, whatever, date night randomly. But then as my business grew, I knew that, like, I couldn't just have her on an iPad while I'm trying to work. I mean, like,
Yeah.
that's not good for her. It's not good for me. My business wasn't thriving because I couldn't put full into it. She wasn't thriving because I couldn't put full into her. And I think that there's such a stigma around you should be a mom and be able to do everything by yourself. None of these
Mm.
influencers on social media are doing it by themselves. Like like, they can make it look like they are, but they're not, and it
Mhm.
just makes all of society feel like that they are not enough when you are, like, you're only one person,
Mhm. Mhm.
and, as like, for me, I'm 34 in perimenopause, in a completely different place in my life, in how I feel now as a mom, as a woman, than I was at 25.
Yeah. And, what tools or practices like sensory routines, nutrition, I know we kinda talked about the nutrition, but what have made the biggest difference in your home?
So as far as, like, practices, I would say, I talked a little bit about how we added proprioceptive activity, trying to help her with
Yeah.
sleep,
Mhm.
and that really helps her in all. Sometimes that's as simple as giving her a bear hug. She'll go in her room, that's kinda her quiet space. She goes in her room,
Okay.
and I'll give her a minute, I give her a couple minutes. I'm, like, right outside the door, make sure she's, not doing anything to hurt herself or anything like that, and then I'll go in, and I sit on the edge of her bed, and I hold my arms out, and I just hug her, and I just literally bear hug her, and that's probably one of the biggest regulating things that we do in our home.
Mm.
But I mean, at the same time, there's things all over the house that are regulating for her. This is her house. What am I talking about? So, just different sensory activities. She loves to have her headphones on, even if
Mm.
she's not necessarily watching the iPad or doing anything on the iPad. She'll like to wear headphones. She has a spinny
Yeah.
chair that she spins around in, wrapping up in a blanket. She loves to do. I should have brought this with me in here, but we have this little thing. So in in the autism community, a lot of kids get an AAC device to help with
Hmm.
speech. So what it
Okay.
is it's basically like an iPad or some kind of tablet, and then they can, like, hit a picture and it'll say the word that they're trying to say. Or if they can spell, they can,
Mm.
like, spell out a word and things like that. So
Hmm.
I'm not opposed to her getting one, but she's gotten so much better with her speech. I wanna push her to learn instead of giving
Yeah.
her a crutch. So, she has this little it's kinda like a little toy, but it has like a
With
picture
the
of a
pictures?
potty. Yeah, it has like a picture of a potty. And oh, man, I wish I knew exactly where it was, but I don't. No, she has that one though. She liked
Okay.
it and it helped with the speech. But this one is like, it has little buttons on it. And like each button
Mm,
has a different thing. Like it has a potty and it has a button for no, and it has a button for yes, and it has a button for hungry, thirsty. I want to go outside. I want to watch TV. I want to go to bed. All these different actions that she would want to take. So that was good. Charts. Charts are huge. We don't really have to use them anymore. We can like verbally say the things, but we used to use like a chart that said like what's everything that we're getting ready to do, right? So it's like, okay, you wake
mhm,
up in the morning, we're going to brush our teeth, get dressed, whatever the routine is, all the way to the car. Because if there's it's not something there and then it changes, then it just throws her off. Now we've been doing
okay,
those same routines for so long that we don't really have to use that anymore. But we have like then and
okay,
now charts. So I'll say you can have your iPad after you take a bath, or you can do this after this, or just different things. Like it's
mhm,
kind of like an
mhm,
incentive program, but having it visually really helps.
mhm.
And then
I like
we have
that.
like cards of things, like if it's a day that she gets to go get something to eat, like after therapy, usually we'll go get something at Chick-fil-A or whatever. And so I'll have like cards and I'll show her a picture of it. Like, do you want Chick-fil-A? We have a local restaurant called Pals. So I'll have a picture of Chick-fil-A, Pals, and McDonald's. Which one do you want today? And she picks it. And things like that where she feels like that she's in control really is
Hmm.
helpful.
Oh, and that's a very creative. I love the creativity behind all these different options. And like you said, giving them that independence and that control to make decisions as much as possible.
Uh-huh.
I have definitely been told that that's very helpful. And yeah, I was having a conversation with Erica who did the potty training show, and she was just sharing how she noticed such a difference in her children's behavior and attitudes when giving them as much independence as possible. And I just love the term where she said, as big as they can be with help. So I really liked that.
Oh, yeah, I like that too.
Yeah.
It's potty training terrified me, like, and everybody kept saying, "She'll do it when she's ready. She'll do it when she's ready." And so I just kept saying, "Okay, well, when's she gonna be ready?" Well, in our last IEP meeting, which I don't know if you've know a lot about IEP meetings, but they're intimidating because you feel like there's I mean, our group is great, but it's still just like
Mhm.
you're making these decisions for your kid. Is it gonna be the right one? The example of gen ed versus special, I mean, it's like all these things.
Yeah.
Well, they were like, "She's ready." And I'm like, "Are you sure?" Like, "Are you sure?" And so anyway, I decided, trying to think, when did we do it? Thanksgiving. Yeah, Thanksgiving break. She came home for Thanksgiving break and we had like 10 days. Well, actually it was a little longer than that because we had snow. So, um, we had a little over 10 days and we just did it and it was the best thing I ever did. And now she doesn't have accidents. She's good. I mean, within a week, she was good to go, and I was like, "Man," but she was ready. But everybody's like, when she was 3, "She needs to be potty trained," and I was like, "She's not ready. Like, there's no way that she would have potty trained at 3." But I also know other kids that are on the spectrum that are 11 that are still, in diapers. So that gave me a lot of hope, the fact that I could get her potty trained at her age and knowing that there's so many that are not.
Yeah.
Because with
I'm
potty
even
training
adults on the
on the
spectrum,
spectrum, yeah. Um,
Mhm.
and even kiddos who get potty trained, neurodivergent or not, using number 2 is a big thing. She's had 2
Mhm.
accidents the whole time of not pooping in her pants. So she poops in the potty, no
Mm.
big deal. She says, "Ooh, I need to go potty." And I'm like, "Ooh, okay." Now, one thing is the way our house is laid out, like the bathroom on like our main living area is kind of far away from the living room and stuff. So she still uses the little potty, the little one with the little lights with the flashy thing, but she uses it well and she's more comfortable on it. She can actually
Mhm.
pull her pants down, sit down on it, use it by herself and doesn't have to ask for help. Now still
Mhm.
help her wipe and things like that, obviously. But um that I wish that we could do big potty, but I am a-okay with dumping the potty every day. I'm okay with it.
Yeah. I know ever since moving and everything, like I was so gung ho to start potty training, and then we moved and all the sleep and everything. I think honestly, my biggest fear is having two and going into public restrooms and dealing with the touching of stuff. So for me, I just think I'm gonna do the potties in the car. So
Yeah,
hey,
we have
I
potties in
am
the car.
not. Yeah, I'm like, I totally get the little potty because,
Yeah.
and then on top of that, because they're twins, I'm like, we probably are gonna have to do the potties, the little potties anyway. Because what if they have to go at the same time? And my
Yeah.
brain is
Yes.
racing with that. But
Listen, we drove
luckily,
to
Erica has twins, and she helps.
Good, good.
You just gotta make a little space in the trunk
Yep.
or something.
Well, we have a minivan, so
Yep.
we just put one seat down, have it right there, perfect. Then you can
Yeah,
open the
yeah. The
door, I
van is
can be right
game
there.
changer.
Minivans are the thing, I'm telling you.
They're the thing. And so as we close, what's your message to moms of children, of neurodivergent children who are in the thick of it, sleepless nights, meltdowns, and all? What's your message for them?
My message to them would be, first, there is more to it. It's not always going to be cut and dry, and it's not always going to be the same solution for everyone. It is a spectrum,
Mm-hmm.
but there's things out there. You don't only have to listen to one avenue. You don't only have to listen to
Yeah.
your doctor who's telling you, "Oh, it's normal for them not to sleep," because that's what I heard. You don't have to listen
Mm-hmm.
to the other mom who has a teenager on the spectrum that did it this way, because things have changed. So
Mm-hmm.
just do your research, look into things, know that there are solutions out there that can help naturally without
Mm-hmm.
going the medication route, if that's not what you want to do. But
Yeah.
also, like, one of the things that I'm the most passionate about and that I want to share is to take care of yourself, because it's exhausting. And if I wouldn't have figured out how to get her sleep, like, my next step was, how am I going to help myself make it through the
Mm-hmm.
day since she's not sleeping? And if it wouldn't have been for the supplements that I started to help myself learn that I needed to get self-care, that it wasn't just a
Mm-hmm.
shower, like, there's more to self-care than that. So yeah, I mean, help yourself and know that, like, you're just as important as your kids. You're just as important as your husband. You're just as important as everybody in your family, and that you deserve time for yourself too.
I love that. And of course, I have to ask if you can finish this sentence for me. Mothering holistically means.
Mothering holistically means helping yourself and your family thrive naturally. I was gonna put
I
it on
love
your
that.
thing the other day, but I really had to think about it. And I didn't come up with it until right now.
No, I love that. And I don't expand on it. It whatever you say is
Yeah.
what you say, and
Yeah.
that's it. And I love that. Yeah.
Yeah. That's
And
great.
last thing, can you just let the listeners know where they can find you? And of course, all of your links and things will be down below, but just for them to hear it.
Yeah. So, definitely, like, find me down below, like she said, but all the things mama is my page where I focus more on moms and helping them thrive through perimenopause, through the stressful days, through all the things that we do as moms,
Yeah.
right? And then all the things a little bit, I talk more about kids and kids products and different ways that I help neurodivergent families thrive. That's going to be my handle on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok, and then Katy Nuckols on Facebook. I think that's all. Is that all my pages? I think. I gave them
Yeah.
all to you. I can't remember.
Yeah, like I said, it'll all be in the description. And, do you just have any last words, any last things that you wanna say?
This has been so fun. First of all, this has
Oh,
been so
good.
fun. I've loved this. I just wanna say that, it's being a mother is not linear. Being a mother is not linear, and it's okay to want help. It's okay to want help in your house if you need a nanny or
Mhm.
if you need a housekeeper. It's okay if you need
Yeah.
help from your husband. It's okay if you need help from a supplement that helps you lower your stress or a bubble
Yeah.
bath that helps get you to sleep at night. Whatever it
Yeah.
is, it's okay to need help and you don't have to do it
Mhm.
all by yourself.
Perfect. And if you'd like to follow me at Kayla Berlini on Instagram and TikTok, and then you can follow the podcast to keep up with everything in the know, sneak peeks, guest announcements will be at Mothering Holistically on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. And of course, tag us if you learned anything, if you have been inspired, or if you definitely pick up some products from Katy and that any life-changing stories, we definitely want to hear them. So if you like this episode and feel that it resonated with you, please give it a thumbs up by clicking that like button. It really helps us out and gets the show to more ears and helps more mamas. And if you feel it can encourage someone that you know, like I said, share it while also hitting that subscribe button and that notification bell to never miss a weekly episode. Episodes air every Saturday at 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So until next time, remember to mother holistically and thrive authentically. I'm your host, Kaylee Berlini, and together we're winning. Bye, y'all.